All right, so today's date is September 12th, 2025. I'm Kelly Zacovic, representing the City of Savannah Municipal Archives. I'm interviewing Irene Roach for the Savannah Community Memory Project, and we're conducting this interview at the Savannah Fire Department Training Facility. So thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, and then you can share what you're here to share with us about today.
Okay. My name is Irene Christopher Roach. My parents, Helen and Chris Christopher, built the house at 348 Kensington Drive in 1956. At the time, we were living on 56th Street, and all of the neighbors were very upset because we were moving so far away. As it is now, it's central to everything in Savannah. It's Midtown. But back then it was a ways away. So we moved in 1956. I was 10 years old, and the streets were all dirt. The driveway was dirt. My parents did some of the landscaping and put in plants and flowers and everything. But basically there was just dirt. The driveway was dirt, except that we had ditches. This was before they filled them in the front yard. And so when we were little, the ditches would fill up with water and we would play in the water. And then other than that, I lived there until I went off to school at the University of Georgia, go Dogs. And I graduated, got married, and then when my dad passed away in 2010, my mom continued to live there until she needed to move to assisted living. And we moved her there, and I decided to move in. I decided to renovate it and move in because it had not been upgraded. The electrical, nothing had been upgraded. So I moved in, and that's where I am now since 2016.
Do you want to tell us any more about some of the fun stuff you kids did in the neighborhood?
Well, one of the things we did, they used to have the mosquito control guy coming by, spraying the smoke or the whatever, and we used to run. Obviously, this is awful. I guess I'm still alive. I don't know what it did, but we used to run behind the mosquito man and breathe in all of that awful mosquito poison, trying to kill the mosquitoes. So we would run there, and then at Christmas time we would go around and gather all of the Christmas trees that people had put out, and we'd take them down to there's the pool area and the Kensington pool, and so we took them down there. We'd have a big old bonfire and just played. I rode my bike all over the neighborhood, and there was no worry about staying out late, catching fireflies, and just playing out in the outside.
Nice. Do you want to talk about the pool at all?
Yes, at that time the pool was part of Kensington, and so we were members, and I used to go every day. I would ride my bike to the pool, starting, like I said, when I was 10 years old, and every day we would go to the pool. It's the same pool. I have not joined it since I moved back, but my son moves around the corner from me on Althea, and his family has joined the pool, so I've gone down there with him and his family. But it's great. It doesn't seem like it's changed much, except that it has a area where you can buy snacks and things like that. But other than that, that was our activity, was the pool and swimming in the ditches. So
were there any parks or playgrounds in the neighborhood other than that?
No, there were none. Not that I can remember.
Okay. So when you lived there as a kid, where did you go to school?
Well, I went to Virginia Hurd, which was around the corner. Well, that was in third grade, because up until then, we lived, like I said, on 56, and so I went to Charles Ellis. And and then when we moved to Kensington, I went to Hurd, And then after that, the middle school was at Wilder, which is no longer there. Went to Wilder, and then Jenkins. I graduated from Jenkins. I used to walk to school from Jenkins, and graduated in '65 from Jenkins High School.
Okay. Where was Wilder located?
It was back where there's a 7-Eleven or something. Oh, where Curry's Cleaners is on Duran. It was behind there. And so I think that's where part of Memorial, I believe, bought the property and built housing or something back there. So, yeah, that's where Wilder was.
Okay, that makes sense. So, let's see. So, are there any individuals in the neighborhood that you want to tell us about that you grew up with or today?
Well, my neighbor, his name is Marty Ward. He was there. He's younger than me. He played with my brother more than me. And he still lives there next door to me. But my friends are the ones that I played with are no longer there.
Are there any neighborhood leaders today that we should know about?
Well, above all, the president of our association, Pam Miller, is excellent. She has fought for a lot of rights in the neighborhood. Just recently, there was, and I'm trying to remember what it's called, where no one can go in and tear down and rebuild the houses. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is. But anyway, it passed. And then Tommy Taylor is excellent. He is our neighborhood watch. He also greets new people. And it's really funny because for a while, there were all elderly people that lived in their neighborhood. And then, of course, people died out and young families have moved in. So that's been good.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm interested. So when you guys moved there in 1956, were there a lot of houses around, or was it pretty early for the neighborhood?
It was early. There weren't very many. I believe we were one of the first ones. I don't think there was anyone that was built before 56, but there were several that were built in 56.
And then moving away and coming back, how has the neighborhood changed?
Well, like I said, at first there were elderly. Now there's young families, but everybody is close, and they have. The good thing is that they have Pam has created activities like at Halloween and the spring party, and it brings everybody together. So that's one thing I guess that changed. I don't think we used to do that when I was little, but yeah, that's nice to have that. We can all gather at one place and meet the neighbors.
Were there any, so you mentioned the neighborhood association, would you want to tell about its, role in the community other than that?
The current role,
Or
I don't recall having an association back then. I think we had to pay to join the pool, but I don't think we had an association. At least I don't recall. Right now, as I said, the role, actually, I'm treasurer of the association, and I just keep up with the banking and, financial part of it. As far as, like I said, activities, the board, the president, vice president, and so on, Tommy Taylor, Neighborhood Watch, they handle a lot of the things that go on in the neighborhood, and as far as getting police to come and talk. We have a Zoom meeting every other month, and they have people come and talk to us about what's going on in the neighborhood and surrounding area.
Is there a lot of engagement with the group? Do residents come out and participate in that?
Unfortunately, no. They do turn up at the parties, but but when we have our neighborhood meetings, no, there's not that many. Usually it's the board, all the board members, and maybe 5 or 6 residents in there too. So, but Tommy sends out letters So he sends out an email, and people know the neighbors know what's going on, residents know.
So when you were growing up, do you know what people who lived in Kensington did for work much?
I know what my parents did. I don't know what others did. At the time, well, let me think here. My dad worked back then. It was Southern Paperboard. Then it became Continental Can. And I'm not sure what it is now, but he was in the credit union over there it's in Port Wentworth. And then my mom worked at a doctor's office, and then as a secretary, and then she, on Paulson Street, there was an FBI office, and it's now a doctor's office, but she worked at the FBI office. My neighbor, he had equipment, like backhoes and things like that, JVC kind of stuff. So that's what, he had his own company actually of equipment like that. But I don't know, we had the sheriff, that's right. Sheriff Bill Harris was in our neighborhood, and he was around the corner from me, and I know he lived on Althea, and then my neighbor, the next door neighbor, the Andersons, they had a daughter who was my age, and the three of us played together. We had there were fences in the backyard, but we had gates to where we could go through and get to each other's house. So there was the sheriff, and then I'm trying to think who else. Well, he was a colonel. My neighbors, the original owners, he was a colonel in the Air Force, I guess. I honestly can't remember what it was. And then, my aunt and uncle lived across the street from us, and he was in the restaurant business. So.
Okay. What were their names, and what restaurant was he involved in?
His name, it was Mary and Anthony Andrus. He had the Anton's restaurant downtown on Broughton, and we're members of the Greek Orthodox Church, and my aunt and uncle across the street also were members of the Greek Orthodox Church. And so we all would go down after church on Sunday dressed up with our gloves and hats and everything, and go down on Broughton Street and go to the Anton's restaurant for lunch.
Nice. Were there any other businesses in the neighborhood that people went to or owned?
I don't know.
Okay. How about churches? People.
I know they're churches now,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, we were very active in our church, which is on Bull and Anderson. So that's where we went.
Okay. So what are some of the surrounding neighborhoods around Kensington?
Well, there's Fairway Oaks across the street from Kensington off of Paulson, and Habersham Woods is nearby, and then across from Jenkins was Colonial. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it is, but that's nearby. That's all I can think of right.
Great. All right. So do you have any other favorite memories that you'd like to share with us, either past or present?
No, it was a great neighborhood to grow up in. Like I said, there were no worries. We slept with the windows open. We didn't have air condition. We had attic fan, and so we would turn that on at night, and it would lull us to sleep. But we slept with the windows open, and It's a great neighborhood. So now very convenient to everything. Like I said, when we first moved in, it was a bit a ways from everything. But now there's medical arts is close by, so there are doctor offices all around, grocery stores. Back then it just wasn't as convenient, but it's a great, conveniently located area.
Where did you go to like grocery shop and stuff?
I believe there was an A&P that we went to, it wasn't Kroger at the time. There was something else that we used to go to that was nearby, and I don't remember what it was before Kroger moved in, but
It was there on the south, in this Midtown area?
it was sort of around there. It was like off of Habersham. Actually, Red and White is there, and I think Red and White was there also. So yeah, that was where we went to the grocery store.
All right. So 50 years from now, what should we know about the area today?
Well, as I said before, that it's a great place to live. It's just the best. I wasn't happy that I had to move my mom out, but moving in there was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's just wonderful. I love the neighbors. I love the neighborhood. The surrounding, everything is just very convenient. It's great. Great place to live.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with
I
us?
don't think so. I think I've covered it all.
Yeah, that is great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.